everybody, and welcome back to Eternal Spring. Paul Thurrott, and I am here as always with my wife Stephanie. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
So we've been working on our book, and we wanted to share some progress we've made so far, and also get some feedback from you. So, for those who don't know, over 30 years now, I've written about 30 books, all technical topics, mostly about Windows and other Microsoft products. Um, Things have changed a lot in publishing over the years, obviously, with the internet and everything. So I left my publisher behind in probably 2012, 2013, because publishing paper-based books is slow and the book is already out of date before it appears, and then it can't be fixed. So I begged them to move along with me. They wouldn't do it, and I left. So I have been self-publishing for over 10 years. I don't remember the exact time frame. And I have two current books, which you can find on Lead Pub, the Windows 11 Field Guide, which is updated regularly, and Windows Everywhere, which is more of a industry history book. Um, and there's so much to love about self-publishing, but I think a big part of it is this regular updating capability, right? It's electronic.
Yeah. Yeah. And, travel guides have a lot of the same challenges that technical books have in that
Mhm.
things change a lot. The things that are changing are different, but in a travel guide, places come and go, the hours that they're open change, menus change, the quality of a place can go up or down. Um, and in our case, we have 3 years of experience visiting and living in Mexico City. So we know a lot about our neighborhood. We know a lot about some key areas of the city. But each time we visit, we kind of expand that understanding. We revisit our favorite places and we also go see new places. So, with that knowledge, this book's going to evolve over time as things change and as our experience grows.
Right, right. So this book, we don't have a name per se yet. Obviously, it's going to be called Eternal Spring something something. I would imagine maybe a subtitle that makes it, well, not definitely a subtitle that makes it clear it's a Mexico City guidebook. You want to be clear about what it is. But the perspective here is what I think of as our Mexico City, if that makes sense, right? It follows a traditional guidebook structure. It could be read straight through or used as a reference, which is actually true of my technical books as well. Um, you could read it before you visit. You could use it as a reference while you're there, right?
Mhm.
We had mentioned before, probably a couple times even, that Mexico and Mexico City kind of lack that Rick Steves person, right? And so we started on this project by looking at how his books are structured
Mhm.
and use that as kind of a base. And what we quickly found out was that we could probably do a better job, honestly, at least from an organizational perspective.
Mhm.
And so our first task putting this together was, figuring out what we wanted to cover and then how that would be organized.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and of course, this is going to evolve as we write, but right now we have about a dozen chapters and they follow a familiar guidebook pattern for the most part. We've organized all of our notes into the relevant chapters. Um, and then in thinking about how these would be organized, we decided that we wanted to approach our recommendations, whether that's for a bar or a restaurant or a site or whatever, um, in ways that are really useful for people who are coming to Mexico City, especially people coming from North America or Europe. Um, and so to do that, there are some key concerns that the listings need to address.
Yeah. And, if you look at a typical restaurant listing in a Rick Steves book, they're very short. They only provide basic information. But when you read restaurant reviews online, those can be really wordy and long too, right? Maybe overly
Hmm.
complex.
Yeah.
But in both cases, they don't usually address the key issues that are unique to English speakers, Westerners typically coming to Mexico City specifically.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I was looking at the Rick Steves Guide to Paris. And, it's an English book. It's designed for English readers. And some of the places he recommends get 3 lines of text and then a phone number.
Right.
So you're in France and you probably speak English. Are you really going to call a phone number
Yeah.
to a restaurant? I mean, that seems like such a high bar. I mean, it's one of the most challenging things to do in a second language when you don't have that face to face interaction. So it's kind of almost pointless information. And it's actually taking up a big percentage of some of the listings.
That's crazy.
You know?
It's a good example of something that looks authoritative. And to be fair, I mean, obviously in many ways he is authoritative, but
Sure.
just kind of mailing it in this particular area, and so we wanted to do better. We went back and forth on this a lot. And this really evolved, and there were some interesting breakthroughs here, but not just the information we want to communicate, but how we communicate it. And it will, we'll keep changing, but the basic structure we're working on now looks like this. This is a specific example of one restaurant that we really like. So this basic information, rating, name, and a paragraph or two describing our opinions and recommendations and that kind of thing. Um, but we also graphically call out the pros and cons as we see it to the place. And I think this is really important.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Some of these will be common to all of the restaurants, things like, do they have a friendly staff? Do they speak English? Do they have an English menu?
Mhm.
And then some will be specific to certain places because they're unique in some way. Um, but if it matters to you that a place can accommodate English, this will be a quick way to discover that and then rule out a place that might be outside your comfort zone.
Right.
We're still fine tuning this list of pros and cons, and they vary between bars and restaurants and sites and other places that we'll write about. But we really want to get this mostly right before we go too deep into covering specific places.
Right. And I think we're close. I feel pretty good about it, but that's why we are covering this in the video today, right? We wanted to open up for feedback from you folks, from anyone watching. We're curious what information you think we need to cover in these listings. Again, specific to sort of a English speaking Westerner visiting this city, right? We think the English language stuff is important, like she said earlier, but there's all kinds of things. Is this place loud? Is it open on Sundays and Mondays, which are 2 days that many places are closed in Mexico City, right? Do you need reservations? And if you do you have to call on the phone or can you use Open Table or a website or whatever? So there's a bunch of concerns, and there's probably some we haven't thought of yet. So please let us know what's most important to you when you're trying to find a restaurant or bar in Mexico City, in this case, or any other place, right, where they may or may not speak your language, right? What things would put it over the top for you?
Mhm. Or what would rule it out for you? What would you
Yeah,
read and say, okay, that is not a place that is of interest to me?
right.
Um, And we're also interested in any feedback that you have, not just about restaurants and bars and sites. You can leave that in the comments, but we also want to know if anyone is interested in accessing early versions of the book before it's published. Right now, it's in a really raw state, but we're hoping in the next month or two we'll have something that's minimally readable. So email Paul if you're interested in that, and then we can get in touch.
Yeah, please let us know. And we're going to have other video updates about the book as we go. There's all kinds of little subtopics in here,
Yeah.
just about the making of the book and so forth. So I think that's, well, hopefully that will be interesting to anyone. And when the actual book is available, we start having updates to that book as well, right? Which would be kind of fun, when there's something that people can actually look at and read for themselves. So this is probably enough for now. It's a good start, I hope, and we'll see what happens. So
Mhm.
we'll be back soon with another video. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
watching.
Yep. Bye.